It is August 4th in the year of 1892. A gruesome scene has fallen upon a small town of Fall River, Massachusetts. So if it's in Massachusetts, you know it's about to go down. They had found a man and a woman that were brutally murdered with an axe that left them almost completely unrecognizable. They are known as Andrew and Abby Borden. This case has sparked many theories on who could have done this unbelievable crime. Many have put the blame on the daughter of Andrew, which is this biish right here, Lizzie Borden. When she was brought in for questioning, her story had kept on changing, but how did this happen? What is the truth? So these are the Borden family. This is Andrew and his wife or second wife, Abby Borden. So the Bordens were basically they were a well-off family. Everyone in Fallwater, Massachusetts knew who they were. So Andrew Borden was married to a woman named Sarah, but she ended up passing away like very soon and at a very young age, leaving her husband to have to take care of their two daughters, which were Lizzie and Emma Borden. So, after a few years after Sarah's death in 1823, Andrew married Abby Durfee Gray. So, it's this girl right here. It has been said that Andrew's daughter did not have a great relationship with her stepmother, even though she has been raising them for most of their life. So, his first wife ended up passing away like when the girls were little, and she has been in their whole life since they were young. So this is Lizzie. Lizzie Andrew Borden. That's right. Her middle name is Andrew. She was known as a very religious woman. She was involved in many like Christian activities, like going to church every Sunday, helping out at their festivities and things like that. So she was a teacher at a Sunday school for children who recently immigrated to the United States. So basically, like, for immigration, those kids that were left by themselves, she would go to school as a teacher to teach them like English and things like that. But her relationship with Abby was always rocky from the start. She would always call Abby Mrs. Borden instead of Abby or mom or like, things like that. She would always call her Mrs. Borden. She had believed that Abby had married her dad for his money because, he had his own property. And back then it was like, having your own property means like, you're very well off. Many knew that Lizzie wanted to move to the nicer part of town, but her father was pretty adamant and said that they had to stay in their own property. So, where they were, it was a very, very small town, and it was nice, but it wasn't that nice. Like, basically, she wanted to live up with the other rich peoples. Like, for example, for us, it would be like Beverly Hills over there, you know. And she always wanted to live over there, but her dad was just saying like, no, this is my house, this is my property, I want to stay here, and she didn't really like that. So this is their house. This is the house where this happened. So let's get into what happened that day. So apparently it was like a normal day like no other. They've been saying that for a couple of weeks the Borden family was feeling a little ill, like they were sick, and they've like basically they felt like they had the flu, but it was one after the other. Like they all had it for a little while, so they were barely starting to get over it. But the only person that hasn't gone over it was the maid, which they call her Maggie, but in reality her name is Bridget Sullivan. Maid has said that she has given breakfast to Andrew and Abby. Well, basically, she has given breakfast to Andrew. Abby was upstairs cleaning out the guest room because apparently, I don't know whose sibling it was, but basically Lizzie's uncle had stayed the night before, so she was fixing that up, and Lizzie was sleeping upstairs. Andrew has gone into town, and Abby had went upstairs to start cleaning the room. It was especially hot day, so everyone was a little grumpy. Everyone was basically like in a bad mood. When Andrew came home, he noticed that his wife was missing. Lizzie says that Abby had received a note saying that one of her friends was sick and they had to leave the house, and no one paid any mind. He was just like, "Oh, okay, she left. Okay, I'm just gonna fall asleep on the couch and let that be it." So he fell asleep, and the maid wasn't feeling well, so she went up to her room to take a nap, and afterwards, she was awoken by like a loud scream. Okay, so this is what the maid had found. Lizzie had found her father dead on the couch. This is Andrew. He had been struck 11 times on the upper chest and face.
Face is completely destroyed.
hmm So I don't know if you can see the left one. It's like this side of the face is completely like, ugh. So this side is gone.
Yeah.
This whole thing is gone.
I can't even make up what it is.
I
I'm
know
just
it.
like trying to.
That was the clearest picture that I
Damn.
can find of it. But basically, yeah, like you can barely see one of his eyes, so it's like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like this whole thing right here is gone. This whole thing right
Ouch.
here. It says that one of Andrew's eyes had been cut in half. His nose has been cut off completely off from his face. The maid Bridget had to go find a doctor. That's what she said. She went to go find the town doctor. Lizzie kept on screaming and she kept causing a fuss. Later, a big crowd has started forming at their house, like outside of their house. And she went outside and she was just hysterical. She was saying the same thing, that Abby was missing, that they had been sick, that most likely she thinks that someone had poisoned their soup because they were all sick. But in the end, where was Abby? Is what they found. This is Abby.
Ow.
Yeah.
Is that the back of her head? Like the first picture? Is that the back
Yeah.
of her head?
hmm Yeah.
Ooh.
So the one below
Oh,
that
that
one,
hurt.
that's the picture that everyone will remember her. Like that's what they
Mm-hmm.
came in, like she's just laying there. And the one on the
Yeah.
right is just the side profile of her. But yeah,
Yeah.
basically there was a pool of blood right there. After Andrew was found, Bridget came back with the local doctor. His name was Seabury Bowen. When Bridget went upstairs, she had discovered that Abby's body was lying face down and surrounded by a pool of her own blood. Abby had been struck 19 times with the hatchet, and her blood,
Damn.
yeah, her blood was dark and it was becoming solid. This led the doctor to believe that Abby was killed first. So when the police had found the bodies, they had assumed that it was a man. Their first suspect was actually a foreigner. They had arrested an innocent Portuguese immigrant, believing that he may have been the one who had done the murders. They even found a bloody hatchet in the neighboring farm, but they had seen that it had been only used to kill chickens. They also had found a strange man at the property at the time of the murders, but he had a solid alibi. So they couldn't connect him with the crime because he had basically a tight sealed alibi. So they were like, this isn't our guy. Lizzie Borden's story had kept changing. She kept saying that she has been looking for certain objects, but there was no physical evidence against her, not even a piece of clothing. Yeah, so that's why a lot of people kept suspecting that it was her, just because her story kept on changing, saying that she had to go outside to get something, or she wasn't there basically. Meanwhile, some things didn't make any sense. So if Abby was killed in the morning, then why didn't Lizzie Borden or the maid have heard anything? And who was at the house during the murder of Abby? Because specifically, it was, if the maid says that she was giving breakfast to Andrew and Abby, and then when Andrew went to town and Abby went upstairs to do, you know, clean the room, because where she died was the guest room, I think. And yeah, who was there? Clearly, they could have heard someone, or they could have heard the murder taking place, because I'm pretty sure if they would have hit Abby, she would have made a noise.
Uncle there too, like eating or something like that too,
Uh,
somewhere.
they didn't really say where the uncle was, or at least what I've read, I didn't see what the uncle was, but I don't think he was there. They also said, what happened to the note that Lizzie claims that her stepmother had? The note, like, saying that her friend was sick and she had to go. But Lizzie made an excuse to her friend saying that she saw her stepmother burn it. So that's why some people were just like, And
Doesn't
also,
make sense though.
yeah. A lot of the things that she said, like it kept changing and it was just like why would she do that, you know? A man named Russell once saw Lizzie burning one of her dresses in the house saying that her dress was stained and could no longer be worn, saying that she was trying to get rid of the evidence. So this is the famous trial that took place after the murders. On August 8th, Lizzie Borden had to attend a hearing in which she had to give information about the murders. By August 11th, she was arrested and she was put into trial in 1893. So it was one of the most controversial cases that anyone has ever seen because many kept saying that how can a woman, especially that of high class, be capable of committing this crime? So not only because she was a woman, but because she was rich and had mullah, that she couldn't have done this. At one point, they even took up the tissue paper that was covering her father's skull and they had exposed it. When she saw that, she fainted. But this ended up working in her favor because her attorney stated that whoever had done this must have been very bloody. And because they couldn't find anything and her clothes were all clean, some theorized that may had done this murder while she was naked so she wouldn't get blood on herself. That's a theory that some people say that she was naked while killing them so they wouldn't have any blood on them. So they even went as far to have an all old man juror. They didn't want any woman in the juror because they would just back up Lizzie saying that she was innocent. So this is the all the jurors. They're all
All
men.
the guys.
Yeah, because they said that if there was a woman to be in their juror, they wouldn't even listen to the facts and they would just honestly believe that she was just innocent. So on June 19, 1893, she was found not guilty of the murder of Andrew and Abby Borden. So she was set free because they declared her innocent. After the case had settled and Lizzie Borden's case had been thrown out, Lizzie and her sister Emma had inherited her father's estate. So all the money that he had, all the properties, everything went to both Lizzie and Emma. Instead of moving into their father's property, they decided to buy a house in the most fashionable part of Fall River, where Lizzie actually wanted to live in. So both the
Crazy.
sisters, yeah, that should have been a red flag to mostly
I mean, I
everyone.
wouldn't go back to where my parents were murdered, to be honest, though.
But I would have at
That's
least like gone
crazy.
to a different part of the town. But she got what she wanted anyways. She went to go live in the
Yeah.
fanciest part.
From what I heard is that she literally like moved like 10 minutes, like less than a mile away from where her house was, or her dad's house was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Like it like basically they went to the house, the axe house,
Mhm.
because it's famous, it's haunted and stuff like that. But then like literally they went to go see where she had moved, and it was like less than a mile away. But it was like nicer. It had AC, it had light. Because one of the things I heard was that basically the dad was like kind of old fashioned.
Mhm.
So like he didn't want to put AC, he didn't want to put light, because I guess that saved the money.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So they that's why he didn't want to move. He didn't want to put any AC. And it said that like in the house where they were at, where Lizzie lived, like at the very top, if
Mhm.
it was hot, it was really hot up there. And if
Hell
it
yeah.
was cold, it was really cold up there too.
Didn't they
So
not
like,
have like an actual bathroom too? Like they still had an outhouse they had to go outside to and go, right?
Yeah.
what the heck?
Yeah.
I did not read about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but I don't know. That's what a lot of people were speculating, saying that they might have just, killed them so they could get the money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cause
maybe.
yeah, if it would have just been the guy, it would have been the lady, right, who got the inheritance.
Mhm.
Hmm.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
because all the money would
Yeah.
go to the wife. Both sisters had lived peacefully until the 1904, where Lizzie Borden had started calling herself Liz Beth to put the name Lizzie Borden behind her. She had then met an actress named Nance O'Neill. Many had said they had a strong bond, and some even thought that they were actually lovers. Emma did not approve of the relationship, and 2 years after the relationship between Lizzie and Nance started, Emma had moved out of the house that she shared with her. Lizzie, on the other hand, lived the rest of her days in private. She died in the year of 1927 at the age of 67. Some today even speculate that Lizzie may have been in an affair with the maid and they had made a deal to conceal the murder. Some other theorize that Lizzie and Emma themselves killed in order to gain the inheritance instead of Abby, or some say that it was actually the uncle that killed and Lizzie and Emma just started wanted to stay quiet so they can all split the money between them. There was just so
Mhm.
many theories. Some saying that
Yeah.
some said that Andrew had like a long lost son or something like that that came that day and just like killed them and they stayed quiet about it. I don't know, it's just there's so many theories. This is the house now. They had turned the property into a bed and breakfast, so it contains items that you can basically find in the museum. It today it looks how it looked back then. So everything inside, they try to keep the furniture as how it was, all the pictures, everything like that. They wanted to keep it that way. Currently, the home is being put up for sale, and some even speculate that it's going to be sold by Ghost Adventures. Literally them. For those of you that don't know, why Ghost Adventures? Why? Why are they trying to buy the house? They have been told that the house was not haunted when the new ownership took over. So the people who had it first, they were just like, no, there's nothing wrong with it. There's no paranormal stuff going on. It's just like a normal house. So when the owners took place, the owners and the employees themselves had felt that there was like a strong emotion. They felt like strong emotion going around. And most of the time, the employees and themselves, they would start feeling just like very angry, and sometimes they would have like loud outbursts, like they would just scream, like they were just so mad all the time. They even brought an expert in and they didn't want to give him any clues or any influence like that, so they brought him in blindfolded, and this is basically what he said. He said, quote, all of a sudden I am very agitated and upset. There's a sense being out of control, being hit by every kind of emotion. I'm trying to get a grip on my emotions and I just can't. I hear stop, leave me alone. End quote. So basically, he just said that it was a woman and she just kept screaming, don't help me. They said that they tried to set up a spirit box experiment, decide to make Lizzie or whatever. So basically, the person that they thought they were talking to was Lizzie. They said that they
Mhm.
heard Lizzie and they wanted to make her feel comfortable as possible, and they started asking her questions through like the spirit box, like in Phasmophobia, like a walkie-talkie sort of
Yeah.
thing. And they said that this is what happened. Let me read you. This is what they said that happened. My friend Amy is upstairs. I'd love for you to reach out to her, please. Can you tell her your name? They said Lisbeth. That's what they heard. Lisbeth. The guy says, you're going to have a lot of people coming in here to try to talk to you, and most of those people are going to try to talk about. And then they said that Lizzie says, directly. Yes, they're going to talk to you directly. The voice said, I'm lost. The people that owns this house now also own the house. The voice said, don't say anything. It's not me. People are going to ask you about what happened on 2nd Street. We're trying to warn you and let you know to see if that's okay with you. The voice said, please talk to them. Are you there? So you're saying it's okay for people to come talk to you about your past? The voice said, come back. What would you like to talk about? I felt someone walking through the room, but no one was there. Don't you miss someone, Lisbeth, from your past? You get used to it. I'm upset. What are you upset about? Then the voice says, stop. Stop it. Alone. I tried. That's exactly what they said. That they heard the voice talking. Like it was complete sentences. That was the first time they heard someone say like that, like in complete sentences. So this is what actually looks like inside of the bed and breakfast. So this is the sofa where supposedly the father was killed, and the left one is where they found Abby. So they try to keep everything the same, from the pictures on the dresser to the pictures on the wall, from the curtains, the furniture, everything that was the same. They try to recreate it as much as possible. So in the guest bedroom where Abby Borden was murdered, they now call that the John Morse room. And indent some people had said that there was an indentation of a body on the room's bed. So basically, it looked like someone was on the bed. Like, you know, when you're on the bed and then you kind of dip a little?
Mm-hmm.
They were saying that that's what they saw. So yeah, so one of the things that people said that they saw during this whole thing was that there was basically like someone was there on the bed, but clearly no one was there. It just looked like there was like a hollow thing. Basically, someone was there laying on the bed. 1 month after that happened, they said that they finished renovations and they were refurnishing the home again. In the house, they hear crying. And they also saw an older woman with gray hair. They see that they had a husband like around the house, like just minding her business. Like it looked like she thought that she was still alive and she was still trying to do her things around the house. They also said that there was an apparition of a woman, that it looked like it was Lizzie. This is what people have said, that it looked like
Mm.
it was Lizzie going down into the basement, looking around there, like she was trying to get rid of evidence. That's what some people say. Like they say that,
What the
that they
heck?
saw Lizzie, they were going down the basement, just walking around in there. Yeah, it's just like a lot of things that these people had seen and said. It looks pretty crazy. They say that they also saw the maid, like she's still trying to say what happened, the truth. An EVP recording captured by D. Agostino. He heard a horrified scream saying, "Ma'am, come quick." That's it. It also says that there are cold spots reported in Maggie's room. So basically, the maid where she was sleeping, they say that they can feel like when you go in there, you automatically feel cold. They also said that there was a woman dressed in a maid's clothes. She is seen doing chores around the house. Oh, some even say that they had seen two young children. They had seen living in various parts of the house, and they have been heard playing marbles. These two I
Oh.
actually got from where did I get it from? I forgot, but I'll put the source later when I put it on YouTube. So the first one, you can see like there's a dark shadow figure in the mirror.
I'm about to
Those
cry.
are the only clear pictures that I found online. Everything else was just like, just pictures of the furniture. So they said that they see dark shadows of people walking around. And on the right one, you kind of see like it's kind of blurry, like someone's
Yeah.
sleeping there.